I have been talking all that time with the sound off. And everyone out in YouTube land thinks I'm insane now. So I'm gonna have to back up a little bit. Welcome to Stage 1 Theater and the second of the epic virtual open mics. I am so happy that you all came to see this second effort today. Like I said the first time, we're still working out kinks. One of them being having your MC make sure he actually turns the sound on. So we are the Experiential and Performative Instructional Center at Stage 1. This is really an effort to keep performance alive and to bring hands-on learning opportunities to students. For example, up in the booth helping me run the show today is Isabel Vining, one of our EPIC interns. And then the other half, of course, is performance. And we have a couple of readers that I'm very excited to share with you tonight. I'm going to share first Anna Marie Janney. She is also a tutor in the Page 1 Tutoring Center here, which is also where I got my start. So give a bunch of love to Anna Marie.
Hi, hello. I wish I was a tutor, but actually my mom is a tutor. We get that a lot. We look very similar. Hello, everyone. Thank you for being here. I have 2 poems for you tonight. And hopefully they bring a little light in this darkness that is the pandemic era. These are some more uplifting pieces. All right, here we go. When those beliefs you hold become too heavy to carry, pass one over to me. I'll tell you how this one fits in my hands, how the color is a little less tarnished than you had thought. Find that it looks different from my shoulders. As you pass over these beliefs, one by one, I'll knock this one against a wall to show that it is hollow. Another reveals itself to be malleable, Play-Doh in my hands. I know it's harder for you to bend these days. You pass over one more, and I find it to be glowing. Glittery even, and I pass it back to you. Here, hold on to this one for a sec. Sit with it, while the others are over here. I watch you stare at it. All your 9-year-old confidence, naming beauty in mud stains and dandelion tangles, chalking up bruised knees to adventures had and lessons learned. Singing really loudly and dancing in the living room. I watch you pull it close. And slowly, I start to pass back each belief, reshaped, resolidified, and renewed. That's my first one. All right. And then here is my second one. Scraping for delight at the bottom of the barrel. I love the way my family shuffles hurriedly around the kitchen, gathering slices of homemade bread and slathering them with butter, filling Tupperware with Tuscan stew and throwing it all into a paper bag just in time to catch the CenturyLink repairman before he leaves our house. I love the way giving is a form of healing, lighting up my chest like bumblebees dusted with pollen. I love learning a new kitchen, the pans, a new vehicle for salt and soap operas, the glasses, a reminder to share quickly and spill generously. I love remembering that there is cake in the fridge. My darling friend tells me it feels so good to eat here. And I am reminded of the full that follows a good cry, a confessional of self-love, handfuls of pomegranate seeds, hair in a greasy braid, all of my troubles unwashed and flaunting. I am reminded that delight tucks itself into a paper bag and follows me out, regardless of whether I asked for it or not. Thank you all.
That was fantastic! Oh my God. So I will admit that I'm especially susceptible to any food references within writing. It strikes me at every level then. And I think we needed some poems of Buffalo. So thank you so much, Anna Marie. That was really lovely. I hope you'll come back again because we're going to keep doing this until we have tons of readers, so much that we're turning them away. So I'm going to go ahead and send you out of the call, and we'll set up our next reader of the night, Gerard Menendez, who actually read at our last open mic as well. Isabel, you can go ahead and send him out onto the stage. Gerard has not told me which piece he's reading tonight, but if you were with us last time, it might not be quite as uplifting. This is a little bit of a darker artist, I've often found. I think, what did I say last time? It was Hunter S. Thompson and William Burroughs, a little bit of both of those, but maybe with a cowboy. Jack London, that was the other one I threw in there. So now he is on stage, and I'm very happy to turn you over to Gerard Menendez. Hold on. Gerard is still on mute, but he can't hear me.
Okay.
All right. Now he's sixth.
Evening. They were going to die. If Catherine couldn't fix this quickly, they were both going to die. The twin calves would be a boon, but not if they died inside the mother, and neither one seemed to be willing to wait its turn. She closed her eyes to concentrate on what she was feeling. Two hind legs and a front. Okay, backwards. You're first, she said, and went to work to move the front-facing calf back before the next contraction. Time was running out. It had been a while since she found the mother already straining. That was just lucky. She'd shown no signs, and it was early, but Cyrus had been drinking hard, and Catherine was done with him. She went to the barn to wait for him to pass out. Now here she was, up to her elbows in something that could use a second pair of hands. And it had been a long time since those hands were likely to be Cyrus's, even when he was sober. He hit her last month, hard. Two black eyes from one blow. Catherine scrambled away on her hands and knees, jumped up and ran to the road. She was back on her hands and knees again, throwing up, either from the heartbreak or the concussion, when Sarah passed by. Catherine, she cried, jumping down and running to her friend. Getting to her feet again, Catherine turned away and tried to wave her off, but Sarah wasn't having it, and she threw her arms around her, saying, "Oh, honey, no, no, no," petting her hair and kissing the back of her still turned away head. "It's all right." "No, it's not. It's not all right. Here, you come with me." Catherine started to object. Sarah let her go, reached under the seat of the buggy, took out a rifle. "You get up there." She was furious. "You get up there right now, or I'm going in that house." And there were tears on her cheeks, but her face was set in stone and her eyes were blazing. Catherine took a step toward the buggy and then just collapsed into Sarah, sobbing, saying, I'm sorry. And that was too much for Sarah, and she sobbed right back, answering, "Don't you dare," to each one of Catherine's sorries, their tears falling on each other's shoulders. And then that ended. They lifted their heads and looked each other in the eye. Catherine climbed up. Anyone who knew Catherine or saw the look on Sarah's face as they rode off could have told you this was not going to end well for Cyrus. That was weeks ago. Catherine came home after 3 days. When she walked through the door, Cyrus didn't say a word. How a man could look at that split ear and those black eyes and not be bothered to say sorry is hard to understand, but some men can. Now Cyrus was one of them. Hadn't always been that way. It was a beautiful day when he first brought her to the ranch that was to be theirs. The sun was shining and their future was bright. Catherine wasn't afraid of sweet Cyrus at all and let him know. But that was years ago, before the cracks started to show in him, before his mother started hammering wedges into those cracks. She staked them to that ranch and never let him forget it. And she never failed to ask Catherine if she'd heard from Bobby either. Eleanor would visit all afternoon, but wait until Cyrus was there before asking, just to get under his skin. And it did. Catherine and Bobby, They were thick as thieves from the time they were 10. The whole town smiled watching them grow up together. Catherine smiled now to think of it, lying on the floor of the barn, covered in muck and straw from one of the two healthy calves breathing right in her face. She might have stayed there if she wasn't so hungry, but she was, and she'd put a pot on before deciding it was wise to head to the barn. Cyrus ought to be down by now. All right, fellas, see you in the morning, she said, getting to her feet and dusting herself off. Good job, Mama, she said as she walked through the door of the barn and pulled it closed behind her. Bobby's back in town, Sarah said over the rim of her glass the night before Catherine went home. Oh, I know. Eleanor came to supper on Sunday and she brought it up several times. My God, that woman loves to pick scabs, doesn't she? Oh, she's still mad I'm not Susie Coleman, Catherine said, filling her glass and passing the bottle to Sarah. Susie was never going to marry Cyrus. Catherine just looked in the fire and said, no. So much regret to fit on one little word. Bobby was sorry, you know. Please, Sarah, not now. Bobby was sorry, but Catherine was mad, and they were young then. It was time to go home, she thought. There's no sense dwelling on past mistakes if the trouble was in front of you. Cyrus was up. He was sitting at the table with a glass and an almost empty bottle. Cyrus didn't usually use a glass. I've been waiting for you. Beyond cocking an eyebrow, Catherine didn't answer as she went to the stove to feel the pot. The fire had long gone out, but it was still a little warm. She started to fix 2 plates. You're a mess. Did you meet someone in the barn? Yes, Cyrus, 2 new calves. Did you even know one of the cows was coming due? Cyrus glared at her. Wasn't due yet. Look at that. Stupid Cyrus knew something. Stupid isn't your problem, Cyrus, she said, setting a plate in front of him. You should eat. Cyrus got mad. You think a plate of food is going to make up for how you look at me? You've earned the way I look at you, she snapped. Cyrus tried to rise and fell back in his chair. Catherine stepped sideways to put more of the table between them. What happened to you, Cyrus? How does this end? Like this. Steadying himself on the edge of the table, Cyrus staggered to his feet and took out the gun that he'd taken to wearing around the house. Catherine thought that was pathetic, but not now. She could see the frying pan on the stove and tried to ease that way. Now, Cyrus, bam! The gun went off. Catherine was shot. When the bullet struck, she spun round and landed on the stove, bracing for another in the back. But Cyrus was looking down at his hand in amazement. Catherine grabbed the heavy frying pan and swung round, giving it everything she had. Gaining speed the whole way, it struck the side of his head edge on like a locomotive. Cyrus was knocked sprawling back over his chair to the ground. Pain and momentum brought Catherine to her elbows on the table with her head down. You shot me for feeding you? You shot me for feeding you? What the hell is wrong with you, Cyrus? Oh, God, it's bad. She took a few short breaths before shifting her weight to look over the edge. Looking down, she knew in an instant he was dead, and she began to cry. She wasn't crying because she was shot. She certainly wasn't crying for the man she killed. She was crying for the boy who disappeared so long ago and that somehow in death had reappeared on Cyrus's sweet face. Catherine was shot bad and needed help. She took a minute to tear a curtain into strips and tie them tight around her before heading to the barn. Getting her horse ready to ride almost killed her right there, but she didn't think she'd stay on otherwise. The sun was coming up as she left. She was fading in and out. Each time her horse stopped, she came to enough to give a feeble kick, but not enough to pay any attention to the way they were heading. And Catherine took to the hills as often as she went to town. There'd be no help the way they were going. Thank you.
Thank you, Gerard. Oh, man, I did try to warn you. I said it was not going to be uplifting as the first poems were, but man, Gerard, I love the details that come out in the characters. Like Cyrus is not a guy who usually uses a glass. That's a very specific kind of drinker.
Well, he's waiting for it. And I just want to comfort everyone, and I'd like to point out, Catherine liberates herself from that abusive relationship. And in the end of the story, there is no doubt the most powerful character the show is.
That's a really good point. Yeah, though I can say, I'm describing it as not uplifting, you're absolutely right that the right person actually succeeds in the end. And it actually carries out some agency. Gerard, thank you so much. Those are the only 2 readers we have for you tonight, folks. I really appreciate you showing up and checking it out. We would love to get more readers involved, so reach out to me at EPIC, E.P.I.C, at seattlecolleges.edu, and we'll get more readers and we'll have more fun. You know, I think the next time we do this might be like right at the end of the quarter. We got about 3 weeks left and maybe a Friday night to unwind right as the quarter wraps up. We'll let you all know. Keep an eye on this space. Thank you guys for coming. Isabel, you can go ahead and cut the live stream whenever you're ready. Thanks, Gerard.